this time, we'll call this meeting of the Warren County School Board to order. I want to welcome everybody who's joining us tonight, those here and those online. For those watching online and want to follow along with tonight's agenda, it can be found on our website, warrenschools.com, under the board tab and then under meetings. Can I get a motion to accept the agenda? Got a motion by Mr. Jackson, second by Mr. Zeckman. Any discussion? All in favor? At this time, I'll ask for everybody to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm going to ask Ms. Craig, Josie Logan, and Ms. Craig from Warren County Middle School, Ms. Kinsey Bruce, to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can I get a motion for approval of tonight's consent agenda? Got a motion by Mr. Colwell. Got a second by Mr. Zeckman. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. There will be no public comment tonight. So then we will move on to the student advisory report.
Hello, my name is Colin Tetherow, and I'll be reporting on sports news. The Warren County Anglers took 7 teams to compete in Center Hill Lake. Out of the 5 teams, they placed top 20, and one team placed 3rd. Warren County also came in 2nd place for top overall team weight. The Anglers also took 6 teams to compete at Del Hollow Lake, and they have 1 team to place in top 10, and the top high school program of the year award points were Warren County 3rd place with 2,217 points. For track, they took the team to Webb Fleet Feet Invitational, where 1 team won 1st place in the 400-meter relay. For wrestling, Jacoby O'Neill won the Tennessee Ironman in Murfreesboro. Tennis had 2 perfect sweeps, one at Livingston Academy and another one at Cumberland County. The Lady Pioneers tennis team won the 1st district home match against DeKalb County High School, and the score was at 9-0. JRTC had their annual awards night on the 11th. The enlisted college funds were raised to the upcoming service project, and their earning of that was $63,000. The enlisted college funds from the Tennessee Army National Guard and the Katie McKelvey JRTC Memorial Award was earned by Abigail Vanderpool, earning a combined amount of close to $70,000. A senior ROTC scholarship of $65,000 to Dalen Hutchins to attend UT Knoxville. And then they also had a community service project with Habitat for Humanity.
Good evening. My name is Harper Houston, and I will be reading the club news. Bulldog Culture Club toured the Tennessee Valley Railroad's Mission Ridge local train ride, and they also toured Tennessee Tech and learned about minority students majoring in education. They also partnered with Black Student Union in our 2nd annual Friendsgiving at the Bernard Gym. They also raised close to $3,500 to assist with rent and utilities for a local family in need. The state FFA convention was held at the end of March, and the FFA chapter walked away with three awards: 10% increase in membership award, State Superior Chapter Award, and Plow Platinum Award. 26 students also earned their state FFA degree. Jamon Rivera, who is advancing to nationals for his FCCLA innovation product, and our CTE director, Ms. Tracy Brinsinger, is Tennessee's FCCLA Administrator of the Year. In Skills USA, 11 students attended the Skills USA State Leadership and Skills Conference. We had a team earn silver in the mock trial competition. Teen court was in session March 28th, and the members educated 6 cases total. 3 students attended the FBLA State Leadership Conference, and McKenzie placed 1st in the World Processing Competition. Out of the 35 submitted applications, 21 students were inducted to the Class of 2025 National Honor Society in April. Now Jalen's going to review the SCOPE conference. Good afternoon. To review over the SCOPE conference that we attended on March 5th, the Tennessee School Boards Association hosted the 2024 Student Congress on Policies and Education Conference at Belmont University. Grades 9 through 12 were split into 4 groups per grade. The first thing the groups did was discuss the different parts of a school board, and then after this we created our own mock board and appointed our members. Continuing, we interviewed 2 candidates, then appointed one as our director of schools. We then learned our debate topic, discussed it, and then appointed our group debater. After this, we went on to debate and vote on these topics. The topics were voted on by everyone in attendance at the conference. The freshman debate topic was every student shall complete an internship as part of a local graduation requirement, and this proposal was not passed. The sophomore debate topic was artificial intelligence may not be used in completion of homework. This proposal was undecided because it was tied 50-50. The junior debate topic was the school week shall be a 4-day week. This proposal was not passed. And finally, the senior debate topic was student cell phone use during school hours shall be prohibited. This proposal was not passed. The Student Advisory Committee thanks you, the board, for once again giving us the opportunity to learn more about the operation of school boards and debating school policies. Continuing on to school news, Leah Simpson reported that Warren County High School took a field trip with interested collegiate athletes to Motley State Community College's main campus in Tullahoma. They went for a tour, lunch, and Q&A with the athletic director, coaches, and student athletes. MTSU Athletics Compliance came to visit our student athletes this year, and our student athletes who have signed up to play collegiate sports this year are listed below for you guys. We had a successful Spanish FAFSA night last month. Katrina Haley would like to report that 27 juniors went on a Bridgestone tour on March 27th, and that the class of 2024 has over a 92% FAFSA completion rate. Aaron Blaylock would like to report that Warren County High School has 12 new certified clinical medical assistants and 18 new certified patient care techs. Patricia Lewis reported that Miss Lewis's closet has received many generous donations this year, most notably from Mr. Ronnie Perry and his wife on behalf of Feed America First, and that they received a large cash donation from Project Hometown Health. Amy Sieber reported that Miss Amy Sieber's painting students are painting murals along the science hall walls upstairs. The annual Warren County High School Spring Art Show will be held from April 19th to the 24th. The Senior Art Showcase will be up from April 29th to May 2nd. Mary Oxley would like to report that Lizbeth Ramirez won the National Security Language Initiative for Youth Scholarships from the U.S. Department of State, and she will be studying abroad in South Korea this summer. Lizbeth is one of 60 students who were selected nationwide, and she also earned a full ride to Wesleyan University through the Quest Bridge program earlier this year. The Advanced Computer Applications class all earned their Microsoft Excel certifications this year. The counselors would like to report that 25 students attended the NC3 signing day on April 18th in the Warren County High School auditorium and signed letters of intent to attend TCAP. Mr. Farnham would like to report that the band program is having its annual closeout concert, Pork and Bands. The concert will be on Saturday, May 4th from 2 to 8 p.m. at Warren County High School. And he would also like to say that if any board members would like a free pair of tickets for the concert and a barbecue meal, email him and he will make it happen. Lastly, the Student Advisory Committee had their meeting on Friday, April 19th, and the following was discussed. A question was raised about cap and gown color changes for graduating class of 2025. No changes have been made at this time. Students also brought up concerns about cell phone ban being with the next school year, and we were informed that the cell phone policy will be reviewed by the school board and we would be informed afterwards. And finally, the students brought up the former policy about semester exam exemptions for good grades and good attendance. The administration is discussing a reward system that ties grades and attendance together. Thank you.
Got any questions from the board member for this? Before we all, anybody got any comments or questions for our student advisory panel? Thank you very much. All right, we'll turn it over to Paul for recognitions.
All right, thank you. We have a bunch of recognitions tonight, so thank you all for your patience as we work through these. That's why we had the meeting in the auditorium, because we wanted to recognize as many as we could. So our first group that we want to recognize Often we see stuff in the newspaper and we recognize our sports teams for their performance on the field, as well we should, performance on the court or wherever it might be. But we have a unique opportunity tonight to recognize several of our student athletes at Warren County High School because they've been named TSSAA Scholar Athletic Team Achievement Award recipients. And so I'm honored tonight really to be able to say to the board, 13 of our teams at Warren County High School have been recognized throughout the state for their performance in the classroom. And so we've invited all of them. Obviously, I don't think all of them are here. I can't imagine that a high school student would want to come to a board meeting on Monday night. So I'm not sure why, but nevertheless, we do have some of them here. And so I'm going to call out your team, and when I call out your team, if you'll come up and just line up, not on stage, you can line up in front of the stage, we will recognize all of you collectively as a group. So let me tell you a little bit about this award. It says participation in varsity athletics requires devoting time not only to classwork, but also to the demands of practices, meetings, and games. And it's often quite a challenge. TSSAA provides awards to teams for outstanding academic success in 2 categories shown below. And the 2 categories are Distinguished Scholastic Achievement Award. That's for a team that has a team GPA of 3.25 or above. And there's also the Outstanding Scholastic Achievement Award. That's the team GPA between 3.0 and 3.25. And so the first group that we will recognize is the girls basketball team. And if you want to if there's anybody here, you can make your way here. They had an overall team GPA of 3.75, which is an outstanding accomplishment. The boys golf team. Any boys golfers here? We're over 2. All right. The boys golf team had an overall team GPA of 3.61. The bowling team. We had 3 individual awards on the bowling team. We had a 4.0, 2 4.0s, and a 3.69 for the bowling team. The wrestling team. I know we've got some wrestlers. Come on, guys. All right. The wrestling team had 8 individuals with a GPA of 3.5 or higher. The boys cross-country team. They had an overall team GPA of 3.82. The boys basketball team, overall team GPA of 3.52. The football team had an overall team GPA of 3.17. We had 18 football players that had a 3.7 or higher GPA. The girls cross-country team, they had a 3.59 overall GPA. The girls golf team, they had an overall team GPA of 3.77. The girls soccer team had an overall team GPA of 3.79. The girls bowling team had an overall GPA of 3.74. The girls volleyball team. Now, I'm not great in math, but their average GPA is a 3.97, which is pretty close to a 4.0. The girls wrestling team, I think they're already up here. We had a couple of students that were above 3.5 in that. So those are 13 of our teams that are being recognized for their being a scholar athlete. Their coaches have certificates that should have already been handed out to them. But ultimately, like I said before, we recognize our students for their work on the fields and on the court, but we are so very proud of their work in the classroom. So let's give them a big round. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'll go back. Okay, we have another team that's with us here tonight, the Warren County Middle School Dance Team. If you ladies will come on up. We'll stand right where you are. Well, I don't think we're breaking any news, but if you didn't know, they all have their national championship jackets on, which I really like those. I wish I could have gotten one of those myself, but nevertheless, we are proud tonight to recognize our Warren County Middle School Dance Team, who are exactly that, national champions. They were named national champions in the Game Day division at Disney World, but guess what? They also took second in Palm and the hip hop divisions, completing an incredible weekend for the group. This team has been together since August. They've been working on performances. They performed at football games, they performed at basketball games, all leading up to this performance at Disney World where they were named national champions. They received a 90.5 grade on game day, which according to Coach Weeder is extremely hard to score in the 90s as a middle school team. And so ultimately, as we also want to recognize them for all that they do, in Warren County, we don't have many national champions. And ultimately, this Warren County Middle School Dance Team has made us extremely proud, whether they were national champions or not. But ultimately, we wanted to have them here and say congratulations on a job well done. Coach Weeder, Coach Butler, we're so proud of all the work that you've done. And let's give this bunch a big round of applause. All right, let's go get some pictures. We're going to get some pictures, so y'all hang tight for a second, okay?
Ready?
All right, also another team that we want to recognize tonight is our wrestling team from Warren County High School. 7 of its members advanced on to the state championship, the TSSAA state championship, and represented our high school and our community very well. So I'm going to call them up and then talk a little bit about them. Zarek Keel. PJ Truax, Marley Harris, Junior Mares, Jacoby Oakdale, Brady McKinley, and Allison Swedler. So these young men and women, again, have represented us very well. Zarek is the 175-pound region champion, sectional champion, and he was also a state medalist. He finished 5th at the state tournament. He is a 3-time state qualifier, so we're very proud of him. Also, Junior Mares was a region champion, a sectional runner-up, and a state qualifier. Congratulations, Junior. Jacoby O'Neill, Brady McKinley, PJ Truax, Allison Swetman, Marley Harris were all state qualifiers. And so the great thing about it is a lot of them are coming back for next year. So we expect great things out of them. We're very proud of you guys, gentlemen and ladies. Keep up the great work. Hold on. No pictures. All right, at this time, we're also going to recognize our employees of the month. So I'm going to ask Ms. Sherry Garrett and Ms. Kim Nunley to come up. Now, as she's walking up here, I'm going to ask Ms. Garrett if she wants to read this or you want me to read it for you. I kind of figured. So our classified employee of the month is Ms. Kim Nunley. She's the Warren County Middle School Administrative Assistant. She was nominated by Ms. Sherry Garrett, who is a teacher here at Warren County Middle School. Ms. Garrett said this: "Have you ever met someone who is sunshine in human form? Kim Nunley is that person. Not only does she handle the many tasks thrown her way each day, she does it with a smile on her face and a positive attitude. Mrs. Nunley is at work each day and goes out of her way to meet the needs of others. She adds to her already heavy workload to make work easier for each of our staff. Even on days when she does not feel well, she is serving others. Not only is Ms. Nunley caring with our staff, she is caring with our students. She shows a genuine interest in students and makes each of them feel special. Kim Nunley is a special lady who deserves the recognition of our board. Our classified employee of the month is Ms. Kim Nunley." Our certified employee of the month is Ms. Sherry Taylor. She was nominated by Heather Sheehan. Is she Taylor here? Heather's not here. We'll have Ms. Taylor come forward.
No, Heather is here, never mind. You probably should have been here.
Okay. Ms. Sherry Taylor is a teacher at Centertown Elementary School. And Ms. Sheehan said, "I would like to nominate Centertown certified teacher Sherry Taylor for April's Teacher of the Month. She is a dedicated teacher who is truly gifted as an educator. Many students say she's a favorite because they learn so much from her, but they also feel loved." And I will add this about Ms. Taylor. I believe she is set to retire from us this year. And so we're all going to certainly hate to hear those news. I can't get my words out, I'm talking too much. Hate to hear that news, but if you know anything about Centertown Elementary, you know the name Sherry Taylor. She is a legend in her own time out there because of all the work that she's done, not only with teaching and teaching all those students, but students all the time come back and talk about how much they love Sherry Taylor. So we are proud to recognize her as a certified employee of the month for April 2024. As Mr. Chairman makes his way back up, that does conclude our recognition portion of the board meeting. We always take a pause at this point to let anybody that would like to go, but you are certainly welcome to stay if you would like.
hear you.
It's on.
Got close to it.
This month for the construction updates, I'm going to start off with the middle school parking lot. I guess you can see it's done. We've got just a few small punch list items, but for the most part, it is complete. Centertown, the addition out there is now complete. We've not signed off on it, but everything is done. We've got a temporary CO for the occupying of the building, so it's good to go. All the fence work is done, the gates are put up, so the grass sowed down and straw, and everything looks good out there. The COVID center is not that far along. But we are in the drive. We've got all the siding on, all the windows and doors are in. Insulation is going up, and they actually delivered sheetrock today, so it's going to be coming up pretty soon. So, and hopefully it'll finish out real quick. The new gym floor at Hickory Creek, I was over there today. Grant and I was. It looks good. There's a few items that needs to be taken care of that cosmetically don't look like it should, and I actually did call them today, and they're coming in the next day or two to look at what issues is there. We're about to start a new roofing project on the Warren Connect building. If you don't know where that's at, it's the building right next door here. We're going to put it in. That roof has been in bad shape for some time, and we've went through in the process, and they're actually supposed to start that roof May the 6th. So that's going to be coming up. Also, the new door locks that we've been talking about for some months, they're beginning to come in, and I'm told that the 29th of this month, they're going to start putting them in, installing them, and they're actually going to start in this building here. That's where they're going to start. So
We have a timeline, Dave, on how long it's going to take to change it.
well, it depends on how quick they come in. I mean, they've been coming in a little long. I'm assuming it'll be a summer process. I'm assuming. I don't know. Yeah. I think they did tell us that they would be ready to go by school when school starts back. So, and that's all I have as far as updates. Any questions, or you got anything you want to add, Grant? All right. Thank you.
Thank you, David. All right, moving on to operations.
All right. I want to thank Warren County Middle School for hosting us. They've had quite the afternoon with a ribbon cutting and also hosting a board meeting. So at this time, I'm going to ask Ms. Rice, Principal Alyssa Rice, to come up on the stage. She's going to give you the school spotlight for Warren County Middle School this year. Ms. Rice, thank you for having us.
You are welcome. We enjoyed having you guys here, and so happy to share with you the completed progress. And we appreciate you visiting us. I do want to add, when you were out front, notice the planters on the sidewalk. Miss Mary Payne's class planted those, and they have been keeping those up for us. I did ask the teachers for input on the school spotlight. I said, what do you want me to share about the middle school? And that was one of the things that they wanted you all to know, is that they are enjoying doing things to help beautify the campus that you guys are putting so much time and effort into. So I would like to start with just a little bit about our school. We do have 771 students currently, and that is in grades 6th, 7th, and 8th. We receive all of our students from Bobby Ray, West Elementary, and Hickory Creek, and they must be zoned to attend our school, or we have open enrollment depending upon our numbers for that year. And the way that our school is organized, we have teams. It's been that way since 1994. And if you see at the top, we are concluding year number 30. I feel like we should have done something to celebrate that, but we were so busy building things and improving things that one kind of slipped by us. So I would like to talk to you then about our academics. All of our students are assigned to 7 classes. 5 5 of them are core classes, so they go to ELA twice each day. They go to math, science, and social studies, but then we have 2 classes that they go to outside of those core classes. And those can be a combination of things listed at the bottom based on their individual needs. So we offer PE daily. We have an amazing band program that I'll mention again in a few minutes. In related arts, we offer computer skills, STEM, art, study skills, ACT prep. Students can get help with math or reading through our RTI programming. Our students with IEPs can have intervention in math or reading. Our ESL students can get additional support there. We do have office workers in the main office, library, guidance office, and some helping teams. And then we have something that's fairly new, our Peer Buddy program. That's been going for a couple of years. And we have students who go to our special ed classes and our CDC classes, and they help those students. But one of the things about our academics that I want to tell you that we're really working on is to improve our outcomes. We want better achievement and higher growth. And to do that, we have been working with our district leaders to make some changes to our schedule. And so we have a scheduling committee here at the middle school that is working to, number one, increase class time. Because right now, our classes are only 40 to 45 minutes long. And we are also adding in a dedicated intervention time, where the Tier 1 teachers will have the students for an additional time during the day to teach them more than what they got to during class. So we do feel like from the time of COVID, our teachers wanted to see their students every single day. And the way our schedule was set up, we were skipping one class a day. So we moved to every day with shortened class time, and our outcomes have just not supported that. So we are working to change that. But I would like to tell you about our staff. So on our next slide, we do have 58 certified teachers, 2 school counselors, a school nurse full-time, 2 SROs. We are so thankful to you all for allowing us to have 2 SROs in our building. Since we do have a very large campus, Officer Jarvis is in the Related Arts building most of the time. Officer Becky is here in the main building. It has helped so much. They help us with traffic and so many things above and beyond what they have to do, but it has definitely been an asset to have 2 SROs. We have 2 amazing assistant principals and an instructional coordinator. And we also have a school-based behavioral health liaison. So that is through Volunteer Behavioral Health, and she does have a full load of students who get to go to her for some help throughout the day. And we also utilize the teletherapy program, and we have lots of students who are benefiting from that. We have some amazing teacher assistants and office staff. You heard that from the recognition earlier. And I would love to also point out our cafeteria staff, food service. If you're feeding 771 kids 3 times a day, you're working hard. And that kitchen was built when Dr. Swallows mentioned the school was built in the 50s. It's a tiny kitchen, but they keep it running. We also have custodial staff, and that's another thing I would love to thank you all for. We visited another school, and they had theirs outsourced, and they were at the end of a contract, and the teachers were cleaning. And I don't think we know how good we have it by having our own custodians, and how thankful we are that they're here every day taking care of us. And we do have 2 maintenance staff here at the middle school. So my next slide just talks about all of our athletics. I think we have almost all the teams that the high school has, with the exception of bowling and anglers. We don't have anglers yet, or bowling. But we offer every type of sport that you can imagine, and we have so many kids that are involved in these things, and I'm so thankful for our coaching staff for all of those. On our next slide, we talk about all of our clubs. So Student Council is here to help with the ribbon cutting. We have a very strong Interact Club. They placed 3rd for Club of the Year this year. Our Beta Club has actually been recognized as a School of Distinction. We are a Beta School of Distinction, which means 10% growth in our club, and also a School of Merit because we involve all grade levels. We have something called Sunrise Circle, where students come in first thing in the morning and meet with a couple of our teachers just to get their day started right. One of our teachers also started Girl Talk this year. We have a new chess club, pep club, campus life, Vex Robotics. We also have FCCLA that I did not list. But students have every opportunity to be involved. I also also listed our student activities. This was our first year to have a Fall Fun Fest, but ours is not like others. Ours was completely free. So it was one of our family engagement nights. Every single teacher in this school came and worked that. Every team had an activity, and we had hundreds of people here that night. It was one of the best evenings, at the middle school. We also have other family engagement nights. We had our first safety summit. I think our school was one of the first ones, thanks to our PTO president, Mr. Carr. We did have 3 school dances. So for the middle school, as opposed to selling things door to door, we decided to do school dances as our fundraiser. We have some fun dress-up days for the students. Kona Ice came one day. It actually rained, and we stood outside and held umbrellas beside the Kona Ice truck so kids could go get their Kona Ice. And each quarter, at the end of the quarter, we have celebrations for our students. And actually, another student from Miss Mary Payne's class has been reading the Pledge of Allegiance at least once a week. He wanted Miss Kim Nunley's job so bad, he came and applied. He said, "Will you please hire me? I want to read the Pledge of Allegiance." And so Thursday mornings, Jaime reads the Pledge of Allegiance for us, and it is wonderful. Mr. Zachman joined us for our eclipse viewing, and we will be having a talent show on May 10th that our school student council is sponsoring. So a couple of other things that makes our school different. We give out digital tickets for good behavior. A lot of schools hand out paper tickets. The students lose them, have a little bit of issue with that. So we decided to give it a try a couple of years ago. The kids love it. The teachers love it. We have a really good fire drill. We can go in and give all the kids a ticket if we're doing well. We do have a monthly spotlight based on data to improve behavior. So our past couple of months, believe it or not, we've been focused on technology. we want kids to use their cell phones correctly while they're at school. But we do have monthly rewards. They can use those tickets to buy pizza, suckers. They can sit with a friend at lunch. We had a really neat game day on one of our end of the quarter rewards. We bought tons of board games, and kids who did not want to go to the dodgeball game got to go up to the library and play cards. There were tons of Uno games going on. It was really fun. They also can enter raffles with their tickets. We have given away Stanley tumblers. I think the current one is for the Nike backpack, inflatable lounger, the Naturals book set, and a fishing pole tackle box. We've had lots of entries for that one. And then a qualifying raffle, if they just get a certain number of tickets, they automatically go in. They don't have to buy tickets, or they don't have to buy entries to that one. And we always, the last 3 years, have had a PBIS carnival at the end. So they utilize the tickets they have left. They pay to participate in activities. We have things set up in the gym, inflatables. They can get cotton candy, things like that. Just a couple more things. We have a really awesome Process Champions team. So Capturing Kids' Hearts is an initiative that we have been a part of, and we had some teachers that were trained to be Process Champions. They do these things well. They meet once a month, and they just try to find ways to create a positive atmosphere. And one of the things they did at Christmas, they had a teamwork challenge. Each home base was supposed to transform their door into a gingerbread house, and those were really cool. Also, they hosted for us, for the teachers, a Halloween candy bracket, so we voted on our favorite candy and decided what the favorite candy was. We did that with Christmas movies. We also participated in the March Madness tournament, and lots of affirmation stations. So we had hearts on a board. You pulled one down and wrote a great note to someone. It was delivered with candy on Valentine's. And if you go back out, you will see the Meet the Staff board. It changes every month or so. New staff pictures. We all filled out something about ourselves. So the kids stop and look at it and get to know us. It's really neat. And the current one in the mailroom is the best advice I ever received. You just pull down a tag, you write down the best advice you ever received, put it back up, and everyone can see it. So those are some neat things that our Process Champions team has done. This year, on the next slide, we had a teacher that wanted to host a science fair. We've had one for a couple of years, but before that, we weren't really having it. This year, 26 Warren County Middle School students competed at Tennessee Tech, and we had 10 of those who won awards, and we actually had the top science fair program in the junior division. Hopefully, you've seen those things in the newspaper over the past few weeks. And we also have here on our faculty the Upper Cumberland Teacher of the Year for all middle grades. So she was the Upper Cumberland, or the Teacher of the Year for the district, but found out just a very few weeks ago that she was middle grades Teacher of the Year for the Upper Cumberland. So she will compete against the other Upper Cumberland Teachers of the Year to hopefully be the top one in the Upper Cumberland and then compete for the state of Tennessee. And one of my very last things is our band. Mr. Jacobs and Ms. Hillis comes here on Fridays. She's our itinerant band teacher for the county schools. They have grown our band program here at the middle school. This past year, we barely fit all of the beginners on the stage. There were approximately 120 beginning band students. And next year, Mr. Jacobs, one of the reasons he wanted the box light panel is because he's going to have class on the stage. The 8th grade class is going to be so big. He has almost 70 kids in one grade level. If all of those kids go to the marching band, it is going to be phenomenal. So that was one of my big things. You know, my daughter's in band, but I wanted for kids to have a place to be. I wanted them to have something they enjoyed, and the passion that they have for that is amazing. So I heard Mr. Farnham's offer. Some of y'all need to take him up on it. You will also get to hear the middle school bands at Portland Bands because they all perform. So I just wanted to wrap up saying that Warren County Middle School is still, as it was founded, a tradition of excellence. We're trying to continue that with the work of our faculty, our staff, and our students. And we really appreciate everything you all do to help us have all of the things we need to make that happen. Questions?
Thank you, Ms. Rice. Any questions for Ms. Rice?
Let me offer a real quick comment. First of all, I want to thank and compliment you, your faculty, your staff, everybody that works here at Warren County Middle School. It is just more than impressive. It's really amazing. Not only your emphasis on academics, which is the right place to have a big emphasis, but also the extracurricular activities, the athletics, the student clubs, activities. It's all about giving these students an opportunity to excel.
Yes.
And with the vast array of competitive sports, the clubs, the academic and social clubs, the service clubs, you have created some wonderful opportunities. And I'm not authorized to speak for other board members, but for myself, I think they would feel the same way I do. We just heartily commend you for what you're doing. This old building has a special significance to me because this was, of course, McMinnville City High School, as Dr. Swallows explained in the ribbon cutting. And I spent 6 quality years here. It had 6 grade levels, by the way. I want to make that clear. And sat in this auditorium. This old auditorium is the same dimensions as it was back in the 1960s. But the Warren County school system has spent, or the taxpayers of Warren County spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in upgrading and modernizing the auditorium. This started actually 3 directors back. One of your predecessors, Dr. Jerry Hale, started this process. New seating, new ceiling, new electrical, a lot of the improvements you don't see because they are utility improvements. The lighting, the sound system, and thanks to Ms. Rice, and I think some creative leveraging of some funding, we now have some proper stage lighting. We've got a new floor. Everything is great. It's one of the largest fixed seating auditoriums in Warren County. One thing is lacking that I see. This back wall, this concrete block wall needs some nice stage drapes. And I was just telling Mr. Colwell that we have a request into Tennessee Tech University. They're going to remodel Wattenberger Hall, the big concert hall at the Bryan Fine Arts Building, named for Charles Faulkner Bryan from McMinnville. And when they do that remodeling, more than likely they're going to surplus the stage drapes, which happen to be very much the same color as the drapes you have here. These are commercial fire-rated, fire marshal approved drapes. So we've got a request in to be at the front of the receiving line when they toss out those stage drapes. My request is this: if we have a Warren County High School alumnus or alumna who is also a graduate of Tennessee Tech, and maybe a funder through the alumni organization, kind of step on the gas, put a little pressure on the administration of Tennessee Tech. Hey, send those stage grapes our way, okay? And we're hoping we can cover this back wall. If this comes true, this is a bit of a dream. We'll have more than enough to cover this back wall and maybe some to distribute to other schools in the system. So just want to let you know, help may be on the way.
Wonderful.
But thank you for all you've done. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rice. Anybody got anything?
All right, thank you. Also here to update you, we also try our best to make sure that you as a board are updated by our different directors and supervisors. And so they asked if they could come up here together, and we're going to honor that request. So our health services coordinator is Sonia Walker, our health services director, and Cheryl Kelly is our new coordinated school health director. She took over a part-time role for Shannon Rayleigh when she left us in January. So we're going to ask Sonia and Cheryl to come up and give us an update about health services and coordinated school health.
Okay, so I'm Sonia Walker, Health Services Director, and just a few highlights from this school year. We started out, hate to even mention the word COVID, but we started out in clinics ready for COVID, and we had the isolation guidelines written up. So with COVID at the beginning in August, we were ready. People still who tested positive for COVID had to get it out for the 5-day isolation period returning on day 6. In March 1st, actually, the CDC updated those guidelines and changed those to do away with 5-day isolation, return if you're fever-free for 24 hours and symptoms improving. So that was something that we celebrated. The nurses were proud as the COVID cases, hospitalizations and deaths were going down. So that's why the recommendations were made. We had a couple of partnerships I wanted to point out. We did have, every year we partner with the Warren County Health Department for flu vaccines. This year we done a little differently. We did they offered a drive-through flu clinic where the staff and students were able to drive through just one day set aside for the staff and students of Warren County schools. We also, a new partnership this year was with the University of Tennessee Knoxville School of Nursing. It's a Health Hero group, and that group is a group of nurses who come around on site to schools or events to provide vaccines for school children. And so this year they came to Dearborn and Morrison in the fall, and they also just recently were on site at the Milner Rec Center for our spring pre-K kindergarten spring. Hopefully that'll be a partnership that we will continue and will improve on the convenience there for the parents to be able to get required for in-school vaccines. I think the one that I'm most proud about this year was 6 additional AED units were purchased and placed in our schools, and those 6 units actually went to the schools that only had 1 unit. So we now, Centertown has an additional in Dearborn, Eastside, Hickory Creek, River College, and Morrison. So that is a total of 36 AEDs in our district, which I think is a wonderful thing. So we also like to point out we do have temperature control cabinets, in case you are not aware of that. The temperature control cabinets, we have one at Warren County Middle School, Nunley Stadium. We also have one at the high school soccer concession and the baseball concession. We have mobile units placed at the middle school and the high school for coaches to check out for those teams that have to go off campus for sports such as tennis and golf. And I think that's a great opportunity as well. And of course, I think Warren County, we're very fortunate to have a nurse in every school. We have 2 at high school, and of course, Warren County doesn't have a full-time, but we are on call for them at any time. And this year, from August of 23 to present, I checked the total number of clinic visits today. The total number seen in the clinics as of today was 38,937 visits. Total number returned to class was 35,162, which is a return to class good rate considering the higher than normal flu cases we did see this year. We're still seeing some COVID, strep, and all the things that go around in the school system. But it's our goal as school nurses and our department to increase student time in the classroom and decrease the time out of school. So the goal for the 24-25 school year is to always improve and increase that return to class rate. And I will say, pre-COVID, we were closer to the 94% return to class rate. That's where I'd like to get it back to. And we will hopefully work on that as the year starts again and as we end. We strive for that. We want to keep those kids in class and keep them in school as much as possible and as healthy as possible. We know healthy students learn better. That's all I have. You have any questions?
Any questions for Sonia? All right, Sharon. Sonia, don't go far. It'll be support.
Yeah. Okay. I'm Cheryl Kelly. I'm the interim coordinator since January for coordinating school health. So I just wanted to touch on some of the highlights that I focused on in the short months I've been here, or been back, I should say. One of the grants that I work on was the Stronger Connections grant. It was a $1.1 million grant that was awarded to us, and it'll be used over a 3-year period. This grant currently funds the telehealth visits where a student or a staff can go into a private room and use an iPad and get therapy from a mental health provider while at school, and it's free. Right now, as of January, from January to present, we've had 574 student appointments, 42 new students were added since January, and then we've had 77 staff appointments. This continues, we're continuing to work out some of the kinks with this, but I do think it's getting better. In July, we've hired a district-wide social emotional learning liaison who will be starting. She'll be teaching, doing some case management, and coordinating some mental health for the district. The grant also funds a therapist at Warren County High School, a part-time school counselor at Warren Academy. Also, we funded a Peace Park area at Morrison Elementary, which is an outside picnic garden area with picnic tables, raised garden beds, and plants that students may use for an outdoor classroom. We also conducted a 6-week parenting class by counselors from Family Care Wellness taught this class, and it was for parents from Bobby Ray, Hickory Creek, and West Elementary. And we had a total of 10 families that participated in that. The last grant I want to talk about was the Built Environment Grant. It was an $80,000 grant that was awarded for over 2 years. And with that grant, the high school is going to get a whole disc golf course. And construction will begin on that in June. And it's going to be in the green space in front of the high school. And then lastly, this grant also is going to provide funds for a Peace Park at Hickory Creek, and it'll have an outdoor classroom with a social engagement area, and a walking track will also be installed. So that's all I have.
While you're thinking of your questions for them, let me just say this. I've been in other school districts, many of you have seen that, and you just don't understand how fortunate we are to have people like Sonia and Cheryl, Shannon before Cheryl, and Cheryl before Shannon, and all that went through that. But we are so very fortunate for both of them because they are just very good at what they do, and they help our kids. So forth. So thankful for them and the work they do every day. So any questions that you have for them?
Well, I'll make the point, and I think this is going to lead into our next topic here, is we are taking seriously the mental health issues that are facing our students. As we see more and more information come back on some of the problems of this and where this comes from, and looking at some of the research now that's coming out about screen time, about social media, and these issues for our students that are just exacerbating the mental health conditions of these students. Do y'all see that as a big issue, or that some of this effects are having on our students?
I do think that it is David said, I think, at some point, several years ago, people stopped living and started watching other people live. And I think that's a problem with the social media.
I'm sorry, maybe I have a little hearing deficiency. Could you say that again, please? I think I heard you, but I'd like to make sure I heard that.
People stopped living their lives and they started watching other people's lives on social media. Whenever, all the cell phones came up with the social media and Facebook and Instagram. And so I think it's kind of caused some, emotional crisis with our young people and even our schools.
Touching back on the outside things that this grant is going to provide, the golf courses and the walking tracks, I looked at this quote today. It says that we have overprotected our children in the real world and underprotected them in the virtual world. And I think we're just now understanding what's going on, what's happened over the past 8 or 10 years with the cell phones and the screen time and the social media. And I do want to applaud that grant that would open up opportunities to be outside more, to get our students out and enjoy the real world and not such an impact on the virtual world. So, we as a board are working and studying on this and, appreciate everything that y'all guys are doing. Anybody got anything?
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
All right, thank you, ladies. So, excuse me, I apologize. I'm trying to get over some sickness and my voice keeps going. So, the next thing on the operations report is something that you all brought up last time. And so really, generally, when we get to the operations report, I generally give you some information to go around and we discuss it. You all asked us to compile some information from last time, but I think you as board members have also done that. So what I'm going to do is just read the policy, give you a little bit of understanding of what we compiled, and then we'll just open it up and let you all discuss kind of where we are, if you all are okay with that. Policy 6.312 is use of personal electronic devices. It says students may possess personal electronic devices so long as such devices are turned off and out of sight except when medically necessary or during an emergency. Such devices include, but are not limited to, watches that have the capability to record, live stream, or interact with wireless technology, cell phones, laptops, and tablets. However, a teacher may grant permission for the use of these devices to assist with instruction in his or her classroom, and the principal/designee may also grant a student permission to use such a device at his or her discretion. Unauthorized use or improper storage of a device will result in confiscation until such time as may be released to the student's parents/guardians. The principal may designate specific school rules regarding use of personal electronic devices that are not inconsistent with this policy. Parents and students shall be provided reasonable notice of school rules in the student handbook and/or as otherwise reasonably calculated to notify students and parents of potential violations and consequences. A student in violation of this policy is subject to disciplinary action. The school district shall not be responsible for the loss, theft, or destruction of any device brought on school property, except that it shall be the responsibility of the school to ensure the safekeeping of any confiscated devices. So that is the Warren County district policy for the use of personal electronic devices. One of the things that you asked us to do is to reach out to some various agencies or some other districts. I'm going to let Robin talk about that in just a second. She's happy that I'm going to let her do that. But ultimately, we passed along to you that we did reach out to TSBA, Tennessee School Board Association. They did provide us that our policy is in line with most of what happened throughout the state. We did see that Shelby County had a policy that virtually says the same thing that we have. However, it says they shall not possess personal electronic devices unless they are not visible or turned on. So it's just another way of saying exactly what we have currently. I know that you all have done a lot of research and want you all to be able to talk about that, but I'm going to let Robin talk a little bit about some policies from other districts.
Okay. Well, I sent Dr. Swallow some policies of districts that y'all had inquired about high-performing schools and just some schools around us. And so I think you already have those. The one that I thought might be one that has maybe some ideas that you talked about specifically in it is the Putnam County one, and I do have copies of that if you would like to look at that. I'll wait for you to get it real quick. Okay. And the reason that I like this one is, I mean, a lot of the verbiage is the same, so they've used the TSBA model policy as well, but they've added some extra things to it, and I think this also, and I'm sure we're probably also gonna talk about the Survey Monkey that was done, and maybe some things that were shown with that. But to me, this is a good one because it does basically allow the communication devices, but they do have to be out of sight and all. It does talk about those classroom pocket chart holders, and I think y'all have mentioned that. That's a good idea. That's sort of a way to, I guess, enforce. It would help enforce that out of sight deal rather than people just trying to keep it in their pocket and keep looking at it or keep having it dinged. And then also it did have a little bit more clarification about it when you can examine cell phones, search cell phones. That is a very touchy subject. There's a Supreme Court case on searching cell phones, so that's not something we want to get real far into, but this would be within the boundaries that they could look, depending on, what the violation, alleged violation is. And then also, it does have some specific offenses, and first, second, third, fourth, and exactly what happens in those cases. The first one, is teacher takes the phone, it is documented, and they're able to get it at the end of the day. The next time they document it, but they either get one day after school detention or 2 days lunch detention. But also, the phone is held until that is completed, which does have a little bit more teeth into it. They do give it back at the end of the day. The third offense, they serve 1 day of ISS, and the parent has to come pick up the phone after the ISS is served. So I guess if you get that on a Friday and you don't get to do your ISS on Monday, then you've lost your phone for the weekend. Fourth offense is the one they serve 3 days. They keep their phone. They don't get their phone during school on any of those days. But then after that, after the fourth offense, the student has to check the phone in before 8 a.m. every day, every school day, and it's kept until 3 p.m. So that one has a little bit more teeth to it. As you recall, the way we got to the cell phone policy we have is initially we only allowed cell phones at the high school. And we knew that in practice people were actually the students were having cell phones in other buildings, parents were sending them with their kids for whatever reason that might be. And we needed to really address the reality of other schools had it, but we felt like that would allow the schools, with the older students or however that administration felt was the best way to address it. It would give them some options depending on age and the size of their schools, etc. And they do, under our policy now, they're supposed to have the rules in their handbook, but I can understand where now I think people would like, according to the survey at least, they want a little bit more direction on that. I think this is probably a good direction to go in if you factor in let there be cell phones at school, which is, again, I know something we're looking at, but also we're looking at not allowing them at all. So does anybody have any questions for me?
No, I want to thank y'all for getting all this together, and these different policies, and I know several of us researched that, and I think in each of these, I don't know, we had 8 or 10 policies, county policies that we're looking at, and I think there's parts in each of them that are better good. I've kind of marked through some stuff, but, you know, and I think it's incumbent on us to, as we talked about, we heard this out in the parking lot earlier, the policy is only as good as the enforcement. So if we're not going to enforce a policy, there's no sense in having a policy. And I think that that's something that we need to decide on this, is have a policy and have, you know, a discussion, and it needs to be enforced, and that's not just from the board. That has to be, you know, everybody has to buy into this. And it's not a, I don't want anybody to think that what we're doing here is trying to be, you know, just take away all the fun. We have backup, we have proof of data that's coming in almost constantly on the issues of having these devices in our school system. And like we said before, our job as a board is to provide the best opportunity, the best environment for our students to learn. That's what they're here for. If you look at Shelby County, I printed this off, and their statement, when they read in their policy, said the increased use of cell phones and personal communication devices by students during the school day has become far more than a distraction in the school environment. These devices are being used by students as a means of cheating on tests, taking inappropriate pictures and videos of students and staff for sharing and posting across the internet, threatening and or bullying other students, and engaging in excessive amounts of social interaction during instructional time. If you read some of the data, one of the things that I found interesting is if a parent texts their child during the middle of an algebra class, and it takes them 5 seconds to reply, pick their phone up, reply yes, no, whatever it is, it takes that student at least 20 minutes to get their brain back focused on what's going on. That's 20 minutes of lost instructional time. You know, these things have not only as students, but as adults ourselves, have kind of taken over our minds and our lives to some effect. So I just think if we, as we talk about this over the next, you know, few weeks, that, you know, I would like to see this just, you know, keep what's best for our students and all around, and our teachers. I mean, we looked at the polling on the surveys that we did. You know, I think our teachers are really behind this, because we've had some polling on how many distractions in a 15-minute span they're going through in a classroom. And I was, you know, thinking about it as Ms. Rice, or is anybody that's up here presenting, if these numbers are correctly, if you're up here 5 minutes, we would have had 100 notifications. We'd have been looking down at our phones, not paying attention to what anybody of our speakers was talking about. And that was the one thing I've heard so much from the teachers, is they turn around and all the heads are down because they're posting, they're replying to, you know, text message, and, you know, just feel like we now have the understanding of the effects, the negative effects of screen time and social media on our children. So.
Anybody want to add to that?
Anybody on down the line? Well, I'll confess that I was totally or largely unaware of the detriment to the educational effort in our schools until our honorable board chair did the survey of the number of interruptions, the notifications that came through, and of course pointing out rightly that the human mind takes a detour. Whatever that interruption is, whatever that distraction, that diversion, however important or trivial and frivolous it may be, and to get the mind back on track, studying biology, chemistry, calculus, whatever you're doing, it takes time to get back on track, and I don't think we have the luxury of having a lot of spare instructional time. So I want to thank Mr. Coe for doing that study, and the teachers who participated. I was stunned at the number of notifications that come in for students during a period of time. It was shocking. Now that's an empirical study right here in Warren County, but I'd just like to call attention to a book that just came out actually about a month ago. This is the 2024 release. Jonathan Haidt, that's H-A-I-D-T, is what you might call a rock star social psychologist. He is at the School of Business and Sterling School of Business at NYU, published a number of, I think, very profound, well-researched articles and books. This is his latest one. It's called The Anxious Generation. And he does original research, and he studies a lot of literature from some highly qualified researchers about the effects of not just social media, but just having such quick and easy access to things on the internet. I'll pass over what he says in his observations about 10, 11, and 12-year-olds having unlimited access to pornography through their iPhones. Let's just put that issue aside. But what Haidt talks about is the rewiring of the adolescent brain. When the brain is in a very fluid state of flux, neuron connections are being made and unmade during this period of time. I think if you read this book, it will have an effect on anybody. If you haven't read it, once again, it's Jonathan Haidt, The Anxious Generation. It's a remarkable book. Let me just mention one thing. We talked about student mental health. We've all been concerned about bullying. We've all been concerned about suicidal ideation, suicide attempts, self-harm. And I think Jonathan Haidt does a lot of work to explain that. And if you got over to page, let's say page 192, and he talks about the difference, the critical difference between real children's play in the real world, what we used to know when we were children, and play on social media and the internet. And he talks about his studies about students who have a sense of meaninglessness in their lives. And there's another study that shows a dramatic increase. In fact, he has a chart on page 195. He asked this question, and it's, life often feels meaningless. How often would you agree with that? And from about 2012 to 2018, there was a dramatic upward spike for both boys and girls. And he says, and I'll just read a little bit of it, on page 195, why then did boys' mental health get worse in the 2010s, just as they attained unfettered access to everything, everywhere, all the time, for free? Maybe it's because it's not healthy for any human being to have unfettered access to everything, everywhere, all the time, for free. So I think this is one of the issues we're dealing with. We're dealing with an embedded psychological issue with our students. And if we're going to stand up for student health and well-being, I think it's incumbent on us to address this issue. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I'll point out one thing, I'll let you talk, Mr. Bowell, but I know Mr. Judkins, Mr. Zeck, and myself was at Eastside Elementary last Friday. We had 6th, 7th, and 8th graders in that. I don't know how many students, we had 75 or 100 students, maybe 60. I asked the question how many had cell phones. All of them but 2 raised their hand. Yeah. And when I asked the question of how many of them were on social media, probably 98% of those. And we do realize that it is a federal law that you have to be 13 to have to possess social media accounts.
But who is actually enforced?
Right. But I just want to say that it's not just a high school level. It's one of the teachers that we had. I think I had 8 different teachers. Most of them was at the high school, but I did have some here at the middle school, and even the numbers there, notifications going off in a 10, 15-minute period was just very alarming. So this is not just a high school issue. This is a middle school issue. And as myself, I take this personal because I do have a 7th grade daughter, 12 years old, who is addicted to this thing as well. And if you do the research, the effects that this has on teenage and preteen girls is just a phenomenal effect that is just heartbreaking when you see the results of what kind of mental issues that these girls, specifically the girls, are having.
this social media screen time effects on them negatively. So I'll pass that on to them.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And there was 2 points well, there were several good points that I've heard here so far tonight. And one of them was brought up with Chairman Cope there that said that, if they pick that phone up and reply to that text message or that notification, for 5 seconds, it takes 20 minutes to refocus, recalibrate. As Ms. Rice was giving her presentation, they're wanting to increase class time from 45 minutes. Well, currently, that 45 minutes, 20 minutes, half that instruction time is gone. It's gone. It's complicated as it is. Whatever policy, whether we stick with one we've got, or whether we change it, whether we revamp it, we have to support our teachers to enforce these policies, and we have to expect our teachers to enforce these policies. And we as parents have to do our part in supporting whatever these policies are. Some of these policies aren't easy to enforce. They're not the most popular. But when we're talking about the health and well-being of our children, is that not what we entrust? We trust our educators and administrators to do on a daily basis. Okay, we made it through TCAL last week. All phones were put up. It wasn't the end of the day. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. All right, Steve.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to say that the survey I did, I was really amazed at all of the teachers who responded to that. They said that they didn't like having the cell phones in their classrooms. And I think that's something that when we meet for our workshop, that we really need to take a look at.
And I want to thank you for putting that survey out and getting that on it. Thank you, Mr. Bennett. A lot of good information in there. Anybody else? Okay. You're more than welcome. That's why we have you here.
I wasn't sure if I was allowed to speak about that.
Absolutely. You're one of us today.
So at the scope conference, this was what we discussed, because we discussed the things that are going on with our board currently. And I was on the side of saying that we keep our phones. And one of the things we did was we went back and forth over the things, the negatives and positives of having phones, and listening to you guys and everything's also very helpful on that. Mental health and phone usage has like there's hand in hand. I looked at my own phone usage, I think it was yesterday, and the amount of time I spent in a week, I spent an entire day on my phone. So I'm not living in the moment, I'm living on my phone, I'm living through other people's lives, not even actually living, right? And so I think it's like a societal change that also has to happen because, we have to change how we're communicating with our parents, being more planned, which is positive in the end, is being able to plan. Clubs, coaches, because a lot of things change throughout the day, and so I guess all that communication has to change, but taking away phones is, I think, would be a positive, because then we're going to have this mindset. So
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah. And again, it's going to take us all, it's going to take the administrators, it's going to take our teachers, it's going to take us as parents, and it is also going to take you guys as students. And we want you guys to know that your input is important. We're not just up here making something trying to make your life harder. We are doing the research, and as it's coming out, we do see that, and we do care about the mental health of all of our students, not just our own kids, but of all. And just want to thank the board and everybody that's took part of these surveys, who's given us feedback. I know it's not all positive, and there's going to be some people that's going to be against this, and that's okay. But we can have an open and honest conversation with this and about this, and that's what we're here for. And I just want to thank you for speaking.
Excellent, thank you.
Excuse me, Eric.
That's what makes our jobs wonderful.
It is.
So ultimately, obviously no vote on that policy, but we are going to continue that conversation as a board. If you are needing more information for us to gather, we would be happy to do that. We will put this on the agenda for our workshop in a couple of weeks. We can have more discussion. Teachers have also been good to reach out via email. I think you've received some emails from them. And we want to hear from our parents and our stakeholders as well. So
Just wanted to put that back on the operations report so that we could compile some of that information as we move forward toward that policy. Next thing on the operations report is your approval of our differentiated pay plan. That is required by policy 5.1101 and by state law that every school system have a differentiated pay plan. We have had the same differentiated pay plan since I've been in Warren County. It affects two areas. One is hard-to-staff areas in some of our elementary schools, and it's seen as a reward for any teacher that would take a job in some of our high poverty, low socioeconomic rate elementary schools. If they stay for 3 years and achieve a level 4 or 5 after the third year, then they would receive a $1,000 bonus annually. That's been approved for the number of years that I've been here. The second area is funding for our instructional coordinators. Prior to this differentiated pay plan, our instructional coordinators were not receiving any extra stipend for the work. It took them from a 200-day contract to a 220-day contract. So ultimately, I brought this before you in operations so that you are aware of what's going on. Your approval of this will, for the 24-25 school year, would be the same, and then we would reach out for the state for its approval for the same differentiated pay plan. Before you vote on that, I do want to say that there are some things that are new toward this differentiated pay plan, not necessarily in policy, but if you're aware of the TISA funding model, we are getting an outcomes bonus. So basically, we're receiving more money for the academic achievement of our students or their outcomes that they are taking part in. For an example of that, third grade meeting or exceeding. If they are meeting or exceeding, or if they are proficient on the third grade TCAP, then Warren County will receive a certain amount of money for that, for each student that's doing that. Again, it's the state's way of saying, we're going to incentivize you to see better student achievement. So one of the things that we're going to be working on over the summer with some of our teachers and then presenting to you will be taking that outcome bonus and rewarding our teachers accordingly. Now that's very complicated. It's going to take a lot of work to get through that, but ultimately that would be added to our differentiated pay plan moving forward. But ultimately what I'm asking you tonight is for your approval for this current plan, and then we'll add the other things later.
All right, can I get a motion for approval of differential pay plan policy 5.1101?
So move. Look forward to the discussion.
Got a motion by Mr. Zutman. Can I get a second? Second by Mr. Judkins. Got any discussion on this?
Anybody else? Well, let me ask Dr. Swallows, the funding for this, of course, we refer to the TISA and the I guess what you might call performance bonuses built into the TISA model. Just concerned about item 1, the hard-to-staff school subject replacement priority areas, K-4 math, reading, ELA, and grades 5, 8 math, reading, ELA. This is a $1,000 bonus annually. Just want to make sure I'm reading this right. And they have to stay in place for 3 years, maintain effectiveness level of 4 or 5. And they got $1,000. The funding, is this state funding? I mean, I know we're mandated to have a plan. I mean, it's just my feeling, and I'll just throw it out, Mr. Chairman, for any comment, but I really think that deserves more than a $1,000 bonus.
So, great question. Ultimately, that is regular general purpose school budget funding. It is not coming from the state. The requirement of our school district is that we have a differentiated pay plan. Prior to that, you all will remember, you could pay on the salary schedule, but the state came in and by state law said, we want you to differentiate in some form or fashion. These two areas this is how Warren County has chosen to differentiate over the last several years. And so ultimately, I think moving forward, Mr. Jackman, we could up that $1,000 bonus annually because of the outcomes money. Prior to this, we didn't necessarily have any money that was just budgeted for that, except for the fact that we were budgeting for it. But there's no way of knowing we had to know how many teachers were eligible for it, and then ultimately how many we could get them.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Swallows. I sort of got the impression that this is sort of baked in the cake, and I'm encouraged to say that in future years we can do something about that. But I'm just hoping that you will encourage teachers who might consider the hard-to-play school subject issues to say, hey, if you feel like it's your professional duty and just because of civic virtue, would you come over here and do this for us? And by the way, we're going to give you $1,000, by the way. I hope going forward that we can really make that a serious money issue. Not that $1,000 is not a lot, but to achieve what I know you want to achieve, I personally think it's worth a lot more than $1,000.
Anybody else got any comment on that? All right, we've got a motion and we've got a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
All right, the next item on our agenda is, we've been working with NIET for the last several years, and ultimately, over the course of the last 2 years, we've been using our ESSER funds to really help our district perfect the process of instruction in our classrooms. We've got a lot of great teachers, we've got a lot of great things going on, but NIET is often a resource for us to be able to bring folks into our district to help us with professional development. That partnership has gone extremely well for us over the last couple of years. Ultimately, what's in your packet is extending that partnership with NIET for the 24 and 25 school year. I want to caution you, there is a cost figure that's down below that's $99,000. That's still being worked on. We're still trying to perfect that. But I do want to say to you that we are fortunate that we would still have some of our ESSER money that we could prepay for this. And so all I'm asking the board for tonight is your blessing to continue our partnership with NIET. And then once that figure is perfected, then we can bring that back before you as a board for your approval. But ultimately, all I'm asking for tonight is for your blessing to continue our partnership with NIET.
All right, we got a motion for NIET 2024-2025 agreement. Mr. Chairman. Got a motion by Mr. Colwell, second by Mr. Bennett. Any discussions over this? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, motion passes. That wraps up our operation report. You got one? Okay, sorry.
My apologies.
Okay, yeah, in front of me. Gotcha.
I'm going to add one item to our operations report. I apologize for doing this late, but as I started to look at the school calendar, I figured if I didn't do this tonight, I wouldn't be able to do it. So you all are aware that stockpile snow day or stockpile weather days, I'm not going to call them snow, stockpile weather days are always something that we work through at the end of the school year. And so there's a process by which is required by the state. If we have some leftover stockpile weather days, that we can convert those into some professional development days at the end of our school year. As we enter the end of April and begin May, Warren County's sitting here with 2 stockpile weather days remaining. And so what I'm asking for, and I want to caution the public that might be watching via video, that if you give your blessing tonight to convert those remaining 2 stockpile weather days to professional development days, they still have to be required by Commissioner Reynolds at the State Department of Education. Because we would be amending the calendar, it needs to come before you as a board. And I wanted to get your blessing before we petition the state. What this would look like is if we do have stockpile weather days remaining at the end of the school year, then we would petition the state to convert those days. Tuesday, May the 21st, and Wednesday, May the 22nd, would be converted to professional development days for teachers, basically meaning that teachers would be working in the school buildings. Students would not be required to attend, and that is the last week of school. And so everything else would stay the same. The 9:30 day would remain on Friday. There is already a stockpile day on Thursday, so ultimately what we would be doing is there would be a full school day on Monday. There would be 3 professional development days in between that Monday and then the 9:30 day on that Friday. So again, because it's amending the school calendar, it needs your approval as a board. If you give the approval and we remain to have those stockpile days, let's say next week it rains 27 inches and we have flood days and those go away, then we would remain in school that last week. But the letter says, I've already written it, asking Commissioner Reynolds for her approval, but it also needs your approval tonight. So I provided a copy of this letter for you to read for your information, and then I will submit it to you for approval or not.
Can I get a motion to change to stockpile of other days on Tuesday, May 21st and Wednesday, May 22nd, professional development days?
So moved.
We got a motion by Mr. Judkins, second by Mr. Bennett. Any discussion over this? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passes. And now that is it for operations support. There's no curriculum and achievement. Any other business?
One thing, Mr. Chairman, one of the last acts of the current session of the Tennessee General Assembly is consideration of the bills, and I've got the bill numbers here, it's permissive legislation that would authorize teachers and other school personnel to carry concealed firearms in the classrooms, in the halls, and cafeterias, all spaces on school property. This bill, it's Senate Bill 1325, House Bill 1202, passed overwhelmingly on the floor of the Senate last week. Senator Janice Bowling, who represents Warren County, voted in favor of Senate Bill 1325, allowing teachers and other school personnel to carry concealed weapons. It is, as of this afternoon, it was on the clerk's desk before the House. And consensus is legislature is going to try to close down possibly this week, and they are on an accelerated calendar to consider as much legislation as they can before the end of the session. House Bill 1202 could have been brought up this afternoon. I did ask Representative Sherrill to send me a text message with a statement of his position on HB 1202. I have not heard from him, but his office, his legislative assistant said that they were on this very demanding, accelerated, doubled-up calendar, so they may still be in session. I do look forward to hearing from Representative Sherrill on his position on allowing teachers to go and other personnel to go armed in school. So we'll see how that goes. I'll take care of making sure everybody gets the result.
Mr. Jenkins spoke to Mr. Sherrill last week. He is totally opposed to this teaching guns in the classroom.
Okay. I did ask him to give me a reply in writing so I could report to everybody, but if he's told you that he is opposed, I take that as a pretty strong indication. But here again, it did pass overwhelmingly in the Senate.
I'll give you 2 quick updates on also items of legislation that are important to us. I think it's not any secret that Governor Lee did come out today and say that he was conceding that the voucher legislation is no longer for this General Assembly session. He did reiterate that he would be bringing that back up again next year, but for this term, we believe that the voucher bill is no longer. So happy about that for us in the public school system. Again, happy to have those debates with anybody, but I do believe that's a positive for public schools. Also of note, there is a bill that has gotten support in both the House and the Senate to give some leadway for 3rd and 4th grade students. If you will remember, we met with as many 3rd grade going through legislation, is going to give the school district for this year and next year some leniency. And there's some requirements where the school district and the principal and the teacher and the parents and the child have to meet together to decide whether or not the student can be promoted. That's only going to take place for the next 2 years, but that is good news that we're able to offer our fourth grade students a pathway to promotion that they didn't have before. And the last thing I'll say before adjournment is thanks so much for encouraging our students through TCAP. It's not over. We still got more. I just got a message from Miss Rice. I've got a daughter who's got a test tomorrow, so it's important to continue to encourage them to do well on TCAP and